Woke up from a night shift after 5 hours sleep. It's usually the case. The bladder wakes me up. The bladder was like as big as my freaking head. Had to go empty that, and then good luck getting back to sleep after that. Never happens to me. So even on days like this where I actually have time to sleep longer, because I don't have another night shift coming on, I just can't sleep because once I wake up, once the bladder wakes me up and I go to the toilet and I come back, it's just impossible. I tried to get back to sleep, it didn't work. Got up, looked around the fridge, and I thought my family was out of the house. I thought, man, I can't be screwed cooking for myself. So I just jumped in the car and found the nearest trash outlet, which was Hungry Jack's in this case, and I just got two sandwiches, if you will. I don't think they're sandwiches, burgers. I had them and had some chips, and that was it. I went back to bed, and I started looking around for some ideas that I had last night, and which was reverse Nordics. This whole idea about quad development, quad stimulation. A lot of you guys have said, dude, try reverse Nordics. And on paper, I don't like the sound of it because you kind of like standing on your freaking knees, right? And I don't like that. I feel like the patella's trapped under your body weight. Anyway, so I thought I'd try it today. Went to the gym and I quickly learned, oh my God, it's almost embarrassing to me that I have such crappy strength in this exercise. I have anterior pelvic tilt. A large portion of anterior pelvic tilt is that your hip flexors are too tight or too weak, probably both. One of those hip flexors is the rectus femoris, which is one of the quad muscles, which is biarticulate, right? So it goes from your knee and it goes to the hip, right? So it can do both hip flexion and it can do extension of the knee. So that is the exact muscle which I'm feeling in this exercise. Literally, I feel that thing grab and prevent me from going further. It's just so damn weak. And it's really interesting to think that somebody that squats every day has a weak quad muscle, which is a hip flexor. Now, I said in the previous videos that doing the hanging leg raises does something to me, and I definitely feel DOMS through that rectus femoris. Definitely feel DOMS like all the way through the middle of your quad, like right at the top. You can actually follow it all the way down, kind of halfway to the patella, to the knee. I feel it. This exercise is basically built to smash that muscle, rectus femoris. I started doing it, and I tried to do it like every set of squats. So I was kind of supersetting it with squats. And I liked how it felt. Like I felt like my hips were a little bit more unlocked. I felt like I could quickly get into like a better squatting position. I worked up to 180 kilos. I put on 200. I went down with 200 and I kind of came back halfway up. And for some reason, I just lost balance, lost my hip positioning, and I decided to drop it. I didn't want to grind it. I don't know whether that's related to the whole hip flexor thing. Or I just basically ran out of petrol in my reservoir, basically. Night shift, whatnot. My body's all over the place. I don't know. I think it's a balance issue on this rep. One of the fellas that was kind of working next to me said to me, what happened? A good bail on the squat. I just said, look, I wasn't ready to fight today. I didn't want to grind. I didn't want to, have a fight with the weight today. Not in the mental space for it. My physical body's not ready for that. And I said to him, look, even on good days, I don't like fighting too much weight, because I feel like if you fight and you start losing that fight, and then you become, you end up in a worse position, a bad position, then bailing becomes really tricky. And then you see all those gym fails, the compilations that you see online where people like fight, hang on for dear life, and then they end up dying, like they get guillotined, freaking their face plant with the bar on their back. That is the worst case scenario. If that happens to you, man, you're hanging on too much. Like once the bar start, you feel it. Like once you lose the control of the bar, just let it go, man. Like there's no point. Try again. There's no point trying to recover a really bad position because, mechanical advantage, mechanical disadvantage. Once you come out, once that moment arm increases beyond the optimal, the freaking forces involved in that lift like go 3 times, 4 times, fourfold. Like it's just, you can't lift when your bar is like way ahead of your center of balance. Anyway, so I dropped 200, and then after all of this, I went back, did some more reverse Nordics. I did 3 sets of 10, And I just cannot believe how weak I am in this exercise, man. It just goes to show you, like in my brain, I'm thinking right now, it goes to show you how useless some of these machines are. For example, the leg extension, I like how it feels. And I've said in the past, I can do the full stack. I actually did it like, in recent times. I can do the full stack for a set of 10. But what the hell am I doing with that? What muscles am I actually training? Am I training any muscles at all? Or is it just like momentum? You're just swinging the hell out of it? Like, what the hell is going on in that? Because on one hand, I can do the full stack of a leg extension, but I can't even do one freaking rep of reverse Nordics properly. I can't even get a quarter reverse Nordic. I feel tension. I feel instability. I don't know what the hell is going on. Now, you can cheat through this exercise and let your body kind of go into anterior pelvic tilt and kind of let your body, I don't know, borrow some power from somewhere else. But if you really lock your glutes out and have a posterior pelvic tilt in this exercise, and you fully isolate that rectus femoris and God knows what else, whichever muscle is involved in this, it becomes very, very difficult. Before I went to the gym, I looked up the knees over toes guy, looked how he did it, looked at a whole bunch of other dudes. There are some guys that doing it effortlessly, like they literally lay all the way back and they pick themselves up. Man, I'm so freaking far away from this. I don't know about you guys, how you, like, do you find it also difficult? But it's almost embarrassing to me that I can't do this. Like on the front cover of this exercise, you think to yourself, it's a freaking bodyweight exercise. Like, of course you can squat 200. Of course you can do this. Positioning, leverage. This thing literally exposes the shit out of my weakness. That whole position where my hips are locked in and out of the mix. Even when you do sissy squats, I know, like I've looked at some footage of myself when I did sissy squats last year. There would be some anterior pelvic tilt when I'm doing that. You know what I mean? So like I'll be cheating throughout doing sissy squats. But this thing, you've got direct feedback, you've got direct kind of sensory feel of where your positioning is. It's fully controlled. There's no bounce. There's nothing. It's just you and the rectus femoris. It's incredible. I thought, oh, here we go. I was gonna, I knew I had a mobility issue. I knew I couldn't get all the way down, like, because I have anterior pelvic tilt. I have, tight hip flexors. I knew that was the case, but I thought I would have, quite a lot of strength, to a point. But to think to myself that I can't even do a quarter reverse Nordic, Jesus freaking Christ, man. Anyway, I guess this is something to work on. Months. I think it's been months you guys have been telling me, try this. And the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, I don't know. I think this is one of those fad exercises. It's the new fad. Everyone's doing this. Knees over toes guys kind of like made this popular. And how's this going to translate to squatting and deadlifting anyway? That's kind of what I was thinking. And then the second thought was, I don't like the fact that we are standing on our knees. Like literally the patella is trapped between the body weight and the floor. So I didn't really like the idea of that. But then when I tried it today, I actually tried it in bed before I came to the gym. I just kind of like, I wanted a kind of softer surface for my knees. And then I went to a mat in my computer room, like one of those foam things. And then I realized that it's not too bad actually on the knees. It's actually quite doable. So I ended up, doing some more in the gym, and so freaking surprised. I know that the Nordics, like the hamstring, or whatever you call them, Russian curls. I think they're called Russian leg curls or something. Nordics. I think there's several names for it actually. Those things, I don't like the hamstring version of this, like the Nordics, not the reverse one, but just the Nordics, because I feel like same thing. I don't know what it is, man. Like I can't even get a quarter freaking rep, and when I get that quarter rep, I feel cramping. I feel like I'm gonna tear the freaking hamstring off my bone. I think there's like so much mechanical disadvantage with that other, with the other kind of the original Nordic. I mean, I've seen the knees over toes guy do it for like 3 or 4 reps, and I just think to myself, it's way too heavy of an exercise. You can't get rep work in. You can't even get like proper time under tension, because you're holding, then you drop. You're holding, and you drop. I don't know. I might be wrong, but I really don't like how that thing feels. But this thing, the reverse Nordics, feels quite good to me. There's something about it, like it really exposes that anterior pelvic tilt of mine. And the really good thing that I did today was that I actually did it while I was squatting, and I could kind of get direct feedback, if you will, how that translates to my positioning in the squat at the bottom. And I felt quite good at the bottom of the squat. The 200, you'll see I failed here. I don't know what happened. I think I lost my balance or something, or maybe the rectus femoris was just too fatigued and just whack, and I dropped it. But it's a really interesting position that I dropped it. I was quite high actually in the squat. Usually I kind of much lower, I think. Let me have a look at it again, man. Some dude's walking past, and here we go. Yeah, I don't know what that was. But anyway, then I took these plates off, and a funny thing happened after this. I started taking the plates off. The fella next to the squat rack in the blue, I tried to kind of put the plates away, and one of the plates rolled away and hit his squat rack. I had a giggle about that. Nice fella. He was asking if I hurt myself, like doing the bail, bailing under the squat. Yeah, I said to him I was fine. And another fellow was, kind of also chatting to me as well. We started talking about like how important it is to actually learn how to bail out of a squat. Maybe, I don't know how many people feel comfortable with that, but I've always kind of felt comfortable just jumping, away from the bar. But I feel like if you're going to bail from a squat, you need to bail early. Don't get caught going down with the freaking weight. If you get caught kind of like, as the weight kind of first second that you feel like you've stopped, there's no more velocity going upwards. Once that happens, you need like 10 times more force output to break inertia and go again. So as soon as the bar stops to move, bail. But if you wait for the bar to kind of start going downwards, then it becomes very, very difficult because you're wearing that weight fully. And then it becomes very, very tricky to get underneath it. And, I don't want anyone to get caught underneath a falling squat, because this is when, you get guillotined and freaking face plant. So if you're squatting in a squat rack, you might have pins there. But once again, I've said in the past that I don't like squatting in a squat rack, because if I fail the way I like to fail, kind of like mid height, then I end up dropping the bar like half a meter down, and it's a racket. The freaking bar bends, and the pins of the safety, the bars, you also get bent. I just feel like I trash everything, and I just feel bad doing that. Whereas if you have a platform like this and you throw the weight down, then it's all good. Because usually the both sides of the barbell hit the floor at the same time, and it's just, that's what it's made to do anyway. So anyway, after all of this, I ended up going back and I did some more reverse Nordics. I ended up doing 3 sets of 10. I don't know how frequently I'm going to do this. I'm going to see how I wake up tomorrow if I feel like it's really smashing me, if I've got DOMs or whatever. But it's a weird exercise, because it's kind of like it's a crazy ass stretch, and also it's a strengthening exercise. So it's kind of like a PNF stretch. I've talked about PNF stretching in the past. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. It's basically a method of stretching a muscle where you go to the end range of a given muscle, and then you ask that muscle to contract in that end range. And research has shown that it's kind of the best way to put on kind of range of motion to joints, to muscles. So it comes from the medical world. Like, I think there was a famous physio that was working with stroke patients or something along those lines. I forget exactly where he was working, and spinal injury patients. And he actually basically found he could get these tractures, these people with like frozen joints, get them moving. And so it's kind of originated from the medical world, and it's kind of going down to the performance world. And so then this exercise is kind of like, I don't know if the guy invented this thing or not, but this is like the epitome of that. Like, you are fully stretched in that muscle, and then you are asking it to contract. So it's, this is probably the best exercise to do if you have anterior pelvic tilt. Like, I can't think of any other exercise that would be more effective than this. So, screw the squat, screw everything, kind of like, from that sense, just restoring, pelvis function, posture. There's just value in that. Even if you're not squatting, you're interested in hitting a 300 kilo squat like me or whatever, just returning your pelvis in neutral, balance will have carry over to everyday life, reduce lower back pain and all that sort of stuff. So posture is very, very important, let alone posture under a heavy weight, which it becomes even more important. So if you have misalignments and weaknesses like that, then you're just hitting your head against the wall. In fact, one of the fellas that I was talking to after all of this was somebody that kind of hurt his back doing powerlifting, and he's been kind of away from powerlifting for a year, 2 years, because he feels like he's scared of the heavy weight. And I said to him, look, powerlifting is notorious of imbalancing certain joints. So if you don't actively pursue restoring that balance, then injury is inevitable. Like basically, it's just waiting for it. All right, guys, get some dinner, get back to sleep, try and get some sleep, and then I'll go to the gym tomorrow again. All right, guys, catch you in the next one. Peace out.